بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. We begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send our peace and blessings upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, this life is a temporary life. You and I have a number of days in this life, and we know the eternal abode will be either the Jannah or Jahannam. So this is not the place that we strive and work for so we can receive eternal pleasure. You will never receive this in the Jannah. You will receive this in the hereafter. So my brothers and my sisters in Islam, it is of utmost importance that we learn of the hereafter and we know what we are going to face after our death. And we seek what we would like to achieve in the hereafter. So my brothers and my sisters in Islam, it is part of your faith, it is part of your aqidah, it is part of your belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you believe in the Day of Judgment. And the Day of Judgment is the time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resurrects every single person. From the time of Adam alayhi salam up until the last person who dies on the face of this planet. He resurrects every single one of us. And we are all gathered together on a plain, on some ground. The scholars say that this ground that you'll be gathered on is nothing like the ground that you walk on right now. The only thing that is similar between the ground that you'll be resurrected on, the ground that you are walking on right now, is the name, nothing else. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Qur'an, يَوْمَ تُبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضُ غَيْرَ الْأَرْضِ وَالسَّمَاوَاتِ. On that day, the ground will be changed and the heavens will be changed. What will be changed on that day in terms of the ground that will be resurrected on? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says in a hadith, يُحْشَرُ النَّاسُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ عَلَى أَرْضٍ بَيْضَاء عَفْرَاء كقرص أو كقرص النقي ليس فيها معلم لأحد. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that on the day of judgment, when everyone will be resurrected, they will be resurrected on a ground that is completely white. It has nothing on it. So much so that there's no trees, there's no plants, there's no leaves, no shrubs. It is completely empty. Nothing on this ground. Completely white. Every single soul would face the judgment in front of Allah Azza wa Jalla. لَيْسَ فِيهَا مَعْلَمٌ لِأَحَدٍ. There is not a single place on this plain where you will find somewhere to hide. No buildings, nowhere to seek some shade. Nothing. Just a plain, barren land. And this is where everyone will begin, or this is where everyone will be resurrected. So Allah Azza wa Jalla will begin the judgment. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, people will be resurrected barefoot, naked, uncircumcised. Some people sweating so much that their body is full of sweat. Some people sweating so much that their ankles, or the sweat reaches their ankles because of how much they used to sin. And some people used to sin even more, but the sweat would reach their knees. I can't even fathom this, wallahi I can't. And some people, because of their sins, they would be sweating up until their waist, and some up until their shoulders. And some people would be drowning in their own sweat. Wallahi, I cannot fathom this. As much as I try to imagine this, I cannot imagine this. How can someone sweat so much? Wouldn't they run out of fluids? Wouldn't they die out of dehydration? Allah Azza wa Jal forces this person to be up. He won't die out of dehydration. He'll continue to sweat up until he starts to drown from his sweat. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us from this day. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us from our evil sins. My brothers in Islam, a companion narrates that the sun will be the distance of a mile from the heads of all the people resurrected on this day. And the one who narrates this hadith, he says, I had no idea what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ meant when he said mile. Did he mean the distance of a mile? Or did he mean, in the Arabic language, mil is also used for the stick, which is around this big. It's the stick that you dip into the bottle of kuhl, which is mascara, I guess it is in the English language, and you apply it onto your eyes. That stick. See, I had no idea. The Prophet ﷺ was referring to this, which is about, 5 to 7 centimeters, whatever it is, or the distance of a mile. The idea is, it's still very close to the sun. The sun is extremely close to you. You're in a barren land, completely white. There's no shade, no figures, no buildings, so you can seek some shelter. But there is a group of people, my brothers in Islam, my sisters in Islam, that Allah Azza wa Jal will apply some shade for them, will give them some shade. On that day, when there is no shade, except the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says in a very famous hadith, سبعة يظلهم الله يوم لا ظل إلا ظله. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says 7 people, Allah Azza wa Jal will give them shade on the day when there is no shade except the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we say 7, when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said 7 here in this hadith, does this only mean 7 people that are mentioned in this hadith? Scholars have said no. Prophet ﷺ is only mentioning these 7 so we know who these people are. So we can strive to be of these types of people. But there are more than 7. How do we know this? There are other narrations that have come out that say that Allah Azza wa Jalla will shade these types of people, even though they're not mentioned in this particular hadith. So whilst the Nabi ﷺ did mention 7 here, it's not so he can limit it to 7, it's rather so he can pass on the knowledge to you that there are 7. Know them and be of those. If you can't be of all 7, then be of at least one of the 6 left over. If you can't be of all the 6, then 5 and 4 and 3, at least one of them. Be of one of them. So you can be of those who are shaded when the sun is literally 1 mile away from you. So the first person, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, well, before I mention that, where is this shade coming from? In another narration, it says, سَبْعَةٌ يُظِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي ظِلِّ عَرْشِهِ. The shade would come from the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't try to picture it. You'll never be able to picture it. It's beyond our imagination. Something that your mind and my mind can never ever fathom. But the shade will come from the throne of Allah Azza wa Jalla, as this hadith mentions. And so Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says the first one is the just ruler, al-imam al-adil, the just leader. Why was this the first person that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned? It's because the just ruler has a significant impact on the general masses. And if this person does good by his people, if he is a just ruler, then for him, my brothers and my sisters in Islam, is the shade of Allah Azza wa Jal. And there is no shade on that day. You know, when I was reading this, I was trying to think of an example of a just ruler. And the example that came to mind was Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He was the Khalifa. What number Khalifa was he? The first one was who? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Then he was Umar. Then he was Uthman. Then he was Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. The fourth rightly guided Khalifa. So Ali radiallahu anhu, who's also the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ, who's also his son-in-law, he has taken his daughter, Prophet ﷺ's daughter. One time, he had lost his sword. Someone had stolen his sword. And, weapons are worth some money. If someone had lost a gun here, these guns, they cost some money. If you were to buy a rifle, the cheapest rifle you can find is $500-600 or something like that. So it's worth some money. So he lost his sword, or it had been stolen, and he found them. Where? With a Jewish man. And so he said to him, "That's my sword." He said to him, "No, that's not your sword, it belongs to me." He said to him, "This sword belongs to me, and I am the Khalifa. This sword belongs to me." The Jewish man said, "No." He said, "I'll take you to the judge. And the judge will be the one who determines who this sword belongs to." So he went. This is Ali radiallahu anhu, who's the Khalifa, the leader of the Muslims. He doesn't even need to do this. Right? But because he's so just, he took him to the court, to the judge. The judge asked him, "Oh Ali, do you have witnesses to say that this sword belongs to you?" He said, "Yes, I do. Al-Hasan and Al-Husayn." Who are Al-Hasan and Al-Husayn? His two sons. Okay. Now what happens? The judge says to him, "Ya Ali, you can't bring family as witnesses to the court, because your family's just going to witness for what you want. So as a matter of principle, you can't bring your own family as witnesses." So he turns him away and he says, "I can't do anything for you." And so Ali radiallahu anhu says, "Okay," and he walks off. And the Jewish man is stunned, absolutely stunned. He knows that this sword is for Ali radiallahu anhu. Yet, he refused to give it to him. And he saw the justice of Ali. He saw the way he used to treat the people, even the non-Muslims. So when the Jewish man walked away, holding the sword of Ali radiallahu anhu, he stopped, he turned back, he went to the judge, he said to him, "This sword, it belongs to Ali radiallahu anhu. And me, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness and I testify that there is no God except Allah Azza wa Jal. And I testify that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his final prophet and messenger. The character of Ali is the character of angels. And because of this, this religion is worthy of following." The justice of Ali radiallahu anhu. He would have easily said, "This belongs to me and I have the right to take it." However, there's a process. And he went through the process himself. So he applied it on himself. Imamun Adil, a just ruler. And of course today we see the injustice that's happening around us across many lands, in the Arab world and in the non-Arab world. And ask Allah Azza wa Jal to bring about justice to all of those who are suffering around the world. Say Ameen. The second group of people, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, وَشَابٌ نَشَأَ فِي عِبَادَةِ رَبِّهِ. He says, the youth that has grown up in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My brother in Islam, my sister in Islam, as a young person, what's the first thing that happens to this person as soon as he hits the age of teenhood? He just wants to rebel. Doesn't want to follow everything that his parents have told him to do. He wants to be the man of his own self, and the woman wants to go out and do whatever she wants. And I don't want to listen to mum and dad because I know her all. And so they start to explore different things that they shouldn't explore. And they go down paths that they shouldn't go down. Yet, amongst these youth, there's a group that goes to the masjid, that stays in the masjid, that goes down a path of getting closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. It's an incentive. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam knows that that this age group is a very difficult age group. And he says, for the one who grew up in the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal, then for him is the shade of Allah Azza wa Jal on that day when there is no shade except his shade. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says for the third group, وَرَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ, a man whose heart is connected to the masjid. This person, he wakes up for Fajr and he goes to the masjid. At the Isha time, he goes to the masjid. This person, some of them pray 5 times in the masjid. But this person, my brother and my sister in Islam, if he misses a prayer in the masjid, his heart begins to ache. Why? Because his heart is attached to the masjid, the place of worship, the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, the place where you feel serenity, you feel the presence of the malaika, the angels. So this person, his heart is attached to the masjid. Why is the masjid called a masjid? In the Arabic, it literally means a place of prostration. But it also has another name. What does the masjid also have? Another name. The other name is called a jami'ah. Why is it called jami'ah? Because it gathers people. In the Arabic language, it means it gathers people. And on the day of Friday, where the compulsory gathering that every male of this ummah has to attend, so long as they are over the age of puberty. Why? Because in the masajid, it's not just a place where you go and prostrate and pray. Rather, it's a place to socialize. And it's a place to socialize with the right people, to keep you on the right path. So a man whose heart is attached to the masjid, this person will be of those who have the shade of Allah Azza wa Jal on that day. There is no shade except his. A man who prays in jama'ah, his salah is worth 27 times more than a person who prays on his own. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, لو علم الناس ما في العتمة والصبح لأتوهما ولو حبوا. That if people knew what's in the night prayer, which is Isha, and the morning prayer, which is Fajr, then they will attend these prayers even if they had to crawl. Can you imagine? You had to crawl to the masjid just because you know what's happening in this place, in this masjid, the reward that you will get. So this person, his heart is attached to the masjid. And I can see faces here that are regulars at the masjid. Your heart is attached to the masjid. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make you of those who die in this state, where your heart is constantly attached to the masjid. You're always here. And whenever you're not here, you feel something in your heart and you always want to run back. The fourth category that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions, he says, وَرَجُلَانِ تَحَابَّا فِي اللَّهِ اجْتَمَعَ عَلَى ذَلِكَ وَتَفَرَّقَ عَلَيْهِ. He says 2 people, 2 men, based their relationship entirely for Allah Azza wa Jal. They got together and met up, and they left entirely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. They love each other for Allah's sake. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says in the Qur'an, الأخلاء يومئذ بعضهم لبعض عدو إلا المتقين يا عباد لا خوف عليكم اليوم يا عباد لا خوف عليكم اليوم ولا أنتم تحزنون. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, Al-Akhilla, Alif Lam. means every single relationship that you have. Relationship with your wife, with your father, with your mother, with your brother, with your friend, with your business partner, every single relationship that you have. On the day of judgment, they are going to be enemies to you. Nafsi, nafsi. I only care about myself on the day of judgment. Every single relationship that you have, they are all going to be enemies. Then Allah Azza wa Jalla gives you the exception. إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ. Except for those who base their relationship on the God consciousness and the fear of Allah Azza wa Jalla. His relationship with you is not merely so he can make $1 or $2 out of you. His relationship with you is not so he can have some status, or through your relationship he can get to another person. He's merely there for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. They are the ones that will not be enemies on the day of judgment. And they are the ones who will get the shade of Allah Azza wa Jalla on that day when there is no shade. Brothers in Islam, it is extremely important to note who our friends are, who we associate ourselves with, our relationship with the people around us. As the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says in an authentic hadith, "Al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi, falyanzur ahadukum man yukhalil." That the man is on the religion of his friend, so be careful. Take it as a warning. Take heed in those whom you befriend. Wallahi, my brothers in Islam, we had the UMA camp just a few days ago. And there were some brothers who called up and they said, we want to come to the camp. And another guy said, yeah, I'll come if my friends come. He only wanted to be at the camp. It's an Islamic camp. He only wanted to be there because of his friend. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Ahlan wa sahlan. But they just follow what their friends want to do. So if his friend said to him, you know what, let's go to some rock festival, he'll go with him. If his friend said to him, let's go to the masjid, he'll go with him. This is the nature of mankind. This is our nature, we follow. So my brothers and my sisters in Islam, encircle yourself in an environment that helps you. One day when you sleep, and all of us are going to sleep, me included, we're going to sleep. But the people around me are going to help me get off my knees and stand up and go towards the path of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, walk in this direction and go towards Allah Azza wa Jalla. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, be of those who have the best of environments. The fifth category that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions, he says, وَرَجُلٌ طَلَبَتْهُ ذَاتُ مَنْصِبٍ وَجَمَالٍ فَقَالَ إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, a man that a woman has called out for him, and she has status, and she has wealth, and she's of beauty. So she calls him out so they can do something wrong. And then he says, إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. I fear Allah Azza wa Jal, the Lord of the universe. What story do we remember straight away? Prophet Yusuf. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, it's narrated that he had half this world's beauty. Very handsome man. And so the king's wife fell in love with him. So she locked him up in her room and she called him to do the haram. And we all know the story. He feared Allah Azza wa Jal, and he turned away and started running from her evil actions. So she grabbed him, ripped the back of his clothes. He left the room, he fled the room, and the king bumped into him. He said, what's going on? Found out his wife was behind him. What is this? The story goes on to say that Yusuf said that she called me out and she wanted to do X, Y, and Z. She said, no, he's lying. And then a man or a servant then said to the king, we should check. If his clothing is ripped from the front, then he wanted to go to her. But if his clothing is ripped from the back, then she is the one who wanted him. And indeed, they checked his clothing and they found that his clothing was ripped from the back. He feared Allah Azza wa Jal, and he ran away from this. For him, he has the shade of Allah Azza wa Jal on that day when there is no shade. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says in a hadith, من ضمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين فخذيه ضمنت له الجنة. Whomever can guarantee for me what's between his beard, meaning his tongue and what he says, and what's between his thighs, meaning your sexual organs, ضمنت له الجنة. I guarantee for this person paradise. Isn't that enough of an incentive, my brothers and my sisters in Islam? Not only will this person have the shade of Allah Azza wa Jal, but he is also going to be the one who enters the paradise, guaranteed by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's an extremely tough situation to be in. Very hard. Yet if you are able to control yourself, then for you is the shade of Allah on that day when there is no shade except His shade. The sixth category that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions in this hadith, he says, وَرَجُلٌ تَصَدَّقَ أَخْفَى حَتَّى لَا تَعْلَمْ مَا تُنْفِقُ يَمِينُ. In this man is a person who donated for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so much so that his left hand had no idea what his right hand had donated. Now if you were to think about this literally, it doesn't make sense. It's a metaphoric example. Because literally, does your left hand think for its own? No, it doesn't. The thinking happens where? In your brain. And your brain knows what's in your right hand when you give it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's just say it's $100. But your left hand, does it think for itself? Does it not know that it is 100 in the left and in the right hand? It does. So the idea is a metaphorical example. What this means is the closest thing to your hand, your right hand, is your left hand. You use them together. They are used together. You want to lift something, you want to hold hands together, you want to, whatever it is, right? Your left hand and your right hand are used together. The idea is the closest of people to you do not know. The closest of people to you do not know what you have donated for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Why so? Because when someone donates and they boast about what they've donated, what happens? Something may enter their heart. Something may enter their heart, so that way they might think to themselves, like, you know what, I'm going to donate, but I love it when my mum and my dad say, MashaAllah, this person who donates for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal in front of my uncles. I grow the biggest head. I love it. My ego goes through the roof. Right? This person says, no, I'm not going to let anyone know. I am going to donate for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal without letting anyone know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Qur'an, قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوفٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ يَتْبَعُهَا أَذًى. Something good to say is better than someone who donates for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. His intention is not clean. It's not just to donate for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Rather, he's donating and he's putting this money for Allah Azza wa Jal's sake, with some strings attached. So I put some money in that donation box over there. Well, I don't want this imam. I don't think he's good enough. I like the other guy. He's got a nicer voice. But why are we doing this program here? Why are we praying after half an hour? We should pray after 20 minutes. The strings attached. Huh? Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, just by you saying something good is better than you to donate your money and to have strings attached to this. Why? Because you're following it up with something that is evil, that is bad. You donate for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Donate entirely for His sake and leave the reward with Allah Azza wa Jalla. The seventh and the final category that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions in this hadith, he says, وَرَجُلٌ ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا فَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَاهُ. Allah. This person, he's sitting alone by himself and he remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He remembers his creator. He remembers the one who constantly provides for him. He remembers the one who he turns to when he feels like he's lost everyone in this planet. He remembers Allah Azza wa Jalla. Whether he remembered him on his tongue and he said Subhanallah, or Alhamdulillah, or Allahu Akbar, or any form of remembrance like reading the Qur'an, or he remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his heart and is entirely by himself. The connection is pure, full reception, completely with Allah. And then he starts to cry. His eye tears up, swells up, and he begins to cry, thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jalla loves this connection so much because it's so pure that He has guaranteed for this person the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on that day when there is no shade except His shade. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, as I mentioned at the beginning of this talk, there are 7 categories of people that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions in this hadith. Whilst it's not so we can limit the shade of Allah Azza wa Jalla to these 7 people. Rather, it's for us to be educated and to know who these 7 people are, and at the very least strive to be one of them. Wallahi, we all need that shade. None of us can handle the heat that was out there. Over the weekend, it was a hot weekend, and we had the camp, and I was speaking to one of the boys who was on the barbecue in the heat. His skin was all red. I'm burnt. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect me. That's what he was saying. None of us can handle it. We can't even handle the sun, and it's thousands of kilometers away. Imagine 1 mile above our heads. We all need this shade. Every single one of us. And we all have the potential to be one of these 7 people. Every single one of us. You can be that person. Pick one. Whether if it's your heart being connected to the masjid, or if you love someone entirely for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, I did mention at the beginning that there are other ahadith that mention other people. Some of them, the examples are a person who, for example, owes him money, and it comes time to pay up, but he still doesn't have the money, so he gives him an extra time. He gives him extra time so he can pay that money. This person, Allah Azza wa Jalla, will give him the shade on the day of judgment, when there is no shade. Another person is a person who spends and funds a mujahid. He funds a person who's fighting for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Today, how do we fund a mujahid? You don't even know who's a mujahid anymore. It's a pretty hard and difficult task to do, especially out here in Australia. So don't go there and sit there and start sending money here and there thinking that you're funding the mujahid. By the time the money gets there, it's probably hit about 1,500 hands. So be cautious with the money that you send overseas. Another type is a person, and this is a really nice one, who has business transactions, yet he is a truthful person in his business dealings. What does this mean? Every single one of us has been through some sort of business transaction in our lives. We've all bought a car before or sold one. So when it comes time to sell your car, and the person who comes to buy it says, has it been in any accidents? You think, no, not at all. It's a beautiful car, it's as clean as a whistle. But this car has been through about 3 different accidents, right? And you know this, but you don't disclose it. Because you need to sell the car. Not being truthful. Not being truthful. This person who's truthful on that day, he will be the one who receives the shade of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And there is no shade except His shade. Wallahi, nothing in this world is worth that shade. Not that few extra $200 that you want to get on that car. Not the status that you will get from befriending someone. Nothing is worth that shade. You just think of yourself on that day when it's really hot and what you would do for a drip of water or a bottle of water or to stay in the air condition. It's not worth it. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, strive, work hard. Be of those who are shaded under Allah's shade. Be of those 7 people. At least one of them. Choose one that works with your character, that works with your timetable. At least one. And work hard to be of those. Work hard. It's easy for us to attain the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal if we stick to it, if we focus. Because every single one of us, we've all put goals in our life. We've all wanted to finish a university degree, or open up a business, or complete a job in a particular time. We've put our goal, we've set our focus, we've worked hard, and we've achieved it. Set your goal. Choose one of these 7 people. So either be a just ruler or leader. Of course, a lot of us can't be that because we're not in the position of leadership, or leadership as in like prime ministerial roles or presidential roles. But be of those who are youth, growing up in the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. To the youth around me, grow up worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal. Be a man whose heart is connected to the masjid. Be a person who bases their relationship with another person entirely for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Be a person that if you are called to do the haram by a woman, and turn away and say, Inni akhafu Allah Rabbal Alameen. I fear Allah Azza wa Jal. So when she sends you that message on Facebook, or when he sends you that message to the sisters on Facebook, say, I fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Don't even say that, just delete and say it to yourself. I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be of those who donate for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, and don't boast about it. Don't put any strings attached. And be of those who at least once in his life sits down, has a pure connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pure connection with Allah Azza wa Jal. And let your eyes tear up. And let those tears flow. All for the sake of Allah. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us from those who are shaded under His shade, where there is no shade except His shade. And ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us, to protect our families, our wives, our children, our mothers, our fathers, and all of us in these challenging times. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who act upon what they listen and hear. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Jazakum Allahu khairan.
I wanna be in Jannah, Jannah, yeah. Jannah, Jannah. Every Muslim dreams to be up in Jannah, 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 Jannah. A pious person's destiny. Inshallah in Jannah, 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 Jannah.